I'm not even gonna add on top of that. I'm just gonna say, folks, if you believe that, but then you believe in flat Earth.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but if you believe that, then it's okay if you go ahead and open cases.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can do that as well. Yeah, I guess that's true. Honestly, yeah, like when you think about it, with of course GAMBIT Youngsters winning the knife, they'll have the chance to start on the CT side, and really, it's actually a great beginning for them to go on the, well, it's a great start for them to go with the CT side. They had a little bit of a rough start against Skade, but they seemingly found their footing on the CT, although perhaps at times a little bit too cautious, and hopefully that caution is not going to be thrown completely to the wind. The Singularity can be a little bit unpredictable at times, but in any case, the pistol is live, ladies and gents, and let's see how far it goes.
Pretty slow round coming out from GAMBIT Youngsters. They are going to be taking their time, just waiting for any pushes coming out from Singularity, because CT side aggression is one on this map, especially because of the angles that they have to deal with. Now, I like this take from Singularity, where they have two players playing pretty close to ramp, so they can have ample time for rotation, and they can try to get early picks and even have the room to be able to retreat, especially in the alley position. But not a single kill has taken place just yet, and I'm very surprised by that. I think it's just GAMBIT Youngsters trying to pick something off on the B bomb site, but they're not really able to find something just yet. So there is a bit of contrast on either bomb site. One bomb site is being played very passively, while the other has a pretty hands-on approach here over towards ramp. Interested in seeing what the first point of contact will be, though.
Yeah, if one would have to take a wager, it'd be B, but it's down to Intus to see if he's going to widen the gap, and he definitely sees one. Here comes the contact itself. He's going to be supported by his teammate, dear friend, Exile, and so far they seem to be holding the line quite perfectly up to this point. As Tobis finds two to return, though, it's still Exile to somehow get the headshot back and make sure that this 2-on-1 is doable. Supra and Shiro. This is a challenging moment, but they will get it before the bomb is even planted, before a chance for it to even be dropped down. Now, the kit is not retrieved, which is a bit of a shame, but Singularity will be losing the pistol round as, of course, GAMBIT Youngsters kick it off again. Just like on Dust, where they took the pistols, they will take it here on Vertigo. Actually, did they take it on Dust? I have to double check that. I might be mistaken in that case. I'll definitely take a look, but without a plant, of course, Singularity don't really have an option of getting themselves up for a full, well, not even a full buy, but an investment, a force buy. Nothing that could really be meaningful enough and worth it enough to throw every single point of economy to the wind. And we'll switch out the names of the teams, folks, in the upper corner in a second. The classic UI bug just needs a moment to get fixed. A little bit of a B start again, a bit of a B push that does not work out as intended. GAMBIT Youngsters, easy as that, 2-0, and a pretty clean sweep start, just like against Skade, actually. In any case,
yeah, that does seem to be the case, but not to confuse anyone here, because the names have been switched around on the scoreboard, so they are going to be fixed in just a little bit. But yeah, GAMBIT Youngsters already starting off pretty strong. But the problem is they weren't able to close it out against Skade, despite the strong start, but they are a significantly better team than Singularity on paper, and also just based off of results in a pretty dramatic manner. So it might not be the same case as Skade. GAMBIT Youngsters going for a lot of pressure here on ramp, and this is good because this wastes a lot of time for the terrorists and also allows GAMBIT Youngsters to go for quite a bit of damage just by virtue tightly knit together this T's are on in a place like ramp. Mertz, though, is in a solid where he can start contesting Nefani individually. Oh, but that nice little molly pushing him out of position.
Yeah, that Molotov is actually well timed enough to buy a few more seconds here for GAMBIT Youngsters. Nefani, does he hold the line? Oh, he sees the backpack, or at least the gap of the backpack here for Mertz. So it is going to be a little bit close. It's going to be a little bit tight. Shiro is also playing this close corner towards short. Now, the Molotov, of course, allowing again for a few more seconds, a little bit more of an aggressive move as Shiro takes the challenge and actually finds an entry. Nafani gets caught though. Rimoy, good return though. Supra has something to say about that. And it looks like Gambit youngsters will at least kick another round, the gun round this time, once more.
Gambit youngsters just looking so strong on their CP side, not really giving any breathing room to Singularity, and just yet again. I mean, Singularity, they haven't even had that much damage, just 5 kills in 3 rounds all across the board. And look at the odds there. I mean, Gambit youngsters, they're so heavily favored, and I think this is for good reason. I mean, if you look at their stats all across the board, just a bit more individually skilled, better win percentages and all. So it would be a huge upset if Singularity managed to clinch this win, but it doesn't seem like they've made a strong start at all.
Yeah, a little bit wonky, one could say. Definitely taking their time in approaching the bomb site, and maybe a few more too many seconds. Then again, the way they did go about it, having no short control, I think that was a death sentence in itself. But we can see that Shiro, you know, he's going to be quick and easy on the, I guess you could say, on the take. Although, Exile, that's going to be a little bit dangerous right now, unless Intas can pull off, yeah, well, exactly that. Singularity could have potentially made the bomb plant happen, as well as more than just that. They could have potentially even gotten themselves up to a round, if, of course, luck would have it.
Again, Gambit youngsters, pretty clean sweep. And if it were for a best of 1, I would put Singularity in a spot where I could go like, okay, they do have a pretty solid chance. But I think Gambit youngsters already starting off so strong on map number 1, and they have the insurance of having 3 maps to really exercise exercise their Counter-Strike prowess for a longer duration of time. I think that is something that is definitely working against Singularity, but we cannot count them out just yet.
Absolutely not.
Approach towards ramp, and Super has already been taken out.
Oh, there goes another one. So the party keeps on going, I guess. Cell rate, well done. They're going to keep up the pace, I guess. As you said, the reactions of Singularity being a little bit slow the last time around, and the boost on box here on an Xbox will allow for a free frag as Shiro just decides to walk in scoped without even checking the close corner. And as you can see, this 2-on-3 currently being set up could work, unless that happens. Exile holding the corner from MBK. Okay, that's a bit of a miss by Mertz, and somehow Exile is unable to get behind the corner. Luckily enough, they're able to take care of him before things get a bit too heated. Nafani, a clutch round for him. The IGL, let's see if he can pull it off. He is a monster in his own right. It would be pertinent to say that he definitely is amongst the better players on the side of Gambit youngsters, but unfortunately for that, we are yet to see it. Yabi takes him out, and that shall be 4-1 for still favorable Gambit youngsters, but Singularity get there first. In any case, slow and steady seems to be the answer here, and Gambit youngsters, perhaps Shiro exposing himself a little bit too much towards middle. I mean, he has an up after all. For reasons beyond us, I guess, he decides to play for that close corner engagement instead of perhaps having a few more patient points. Whilst Exile this time round will be caught, as far as I could tell, towards B ramp. This is a bit of a danger noodle being presented. Certainly could complicate matters if Singularity are able to keep the dominant control off this A ramp, off mid as well, by the looks of that.
Yo, this is good stuff from Super, as he's already equalized the numbers, but at what cost though? Because he has lost a significant amount of HP, so his importance in the round is severely deteriorated. Nafani picking up a bit of damage as well. Ooh, now we're looking at the execute. Shiro is in a pivotal position to change the outcome of the round. The smoke blocking his vision there. He catches a sliver of the enemy, but he's also going to catch a bullet to the face. 2 versus 4, the CTs should be saving now because they don't have that much money to work with, and that is the danger of the CT side.
Yes, it is, most certainly. And well, when you take a broader look at the current situation, Gambit youngsters definitely having themselves a bit of an exposed neck, perhaps a bit too aggressive. Exile, the first to fall early on, finding himself in the clutches. I believe it was actually Remoy that got that entry. And Singularity, vital that they pick up a few early rounds here in this first half. We've seen them one too many times get tossed around a little bit too much. And for example, yesterday on Overpass against SG Pro, it was a 9-6 first half. They lost both pistols as well, and the map ended 16-9 pretty convincingly in favor of SG Pro. You could really tell that Singularity, as soon as they started losing, as soon as things did not go as planned, and the players lost a little bit of confidence in themselves, it really went into a wild roller coaster ride afterwards. So it's important, like I said, it's important that they pick up the rounds early on and contest against GY here.
Just look at the amount of economic damage that they suffered, though. I mean, for as far as Gambit youngsters is concerned, they're starting to lose a lot of the ground under their feet, and it wouldn't be long before Singularity start asserting their dominance just based off of the economic advantage that comes from the terrorist side. Slowly challenging mid. Toby's is trying to find a pick here, but he has something very challenging to contend with because he has to worry about this Deagle. Crate is able to beat this first little mini boss around the corner, but Shiro is there to pick him up, so he does not complete the level. 4 versus 4. Towing up the ramp now, the terrorist side. They have established control, forcing the CTs to back off. Jabby coming up the ramp. He spotted a player, but he doesn't realize that there was a second one. But the Molotov is going to be giving the position away. Nafani in a great position to take down Jabby, but he is not able to bring anything more to fruition. 3 versus 2. Shiro and Axile trying to go for the retake now. Before Shiro even gets the chance, he is greeted by a shot to the head. 1 versus 3. Axile, he has so much work to do here. Just so many opposing angles to worry about. But that is one angle eliminated. Gets one follow up. 4-3. Singularity. Nicely done. And they're clawing their way back into the game.
Well, inch by inch, bit by bit, it's the only way to go for it. A little bit of an unlucky timing there for sell rate, but Remoy luckily, or not even luckily, but thankfully, was prepared for the immediate return. As Gambit youngsters have to go for another eco, we will be seeing a few pistols, maybe a few deagles, even to accompany everything alongside what they already are wielding. A single nade, surprisingly, only, and a single flash, and I'm eager to see how they utilize that. $200 equipment or utility usually does not mean for much, but when you use it correctly, it can absolutely give you even a chance of victory. Yabi almost losing his life. It's going to be Supra that will be caught, but down to 4 HP he falls, and it perhaps allows to show a bit of vulnerability for the side of Singularity. If they are not going to be too careful, things could swing wildly out of control. Why, for once, have seen one too many rounds with pistols where they've gone completely the opposite way as otherwise intended.
Doesn't seem like this is going to be the case, though, because the terrorist side, they've established so much control over here on mid, and the pistols can be very effective, but they also need to be in the right positions to make something happen. Ooh, Singularity, though, coming around the corner. Toby's nice stuff, picking up all those eco kills. As we mentioned, the good old E-Cobra.
Yeah.
But I mean, eco kills matter, man. Like, let's be honest. There's no other way to put it. You might think that it's very easy to pick up these eco kills, but the day or the match where you lose an essential round to these pistols is when you start understanding the importance of carefully carving out these eco kills, because it is not easy, especially when you're very likely to run into a stack. Like, you're never going to be able to pick these very easy kills where you're just taking them on one by one. It's never a 1v1, because you know that if you get greeted by a pistol, there's like 3 more around the corner.
Oh, I was just about to say, yeah, there's definitely chances of if there's one hole that there's another 3 waiting behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, GAMBIT.Y youngsters, they're a bit of specialists when it comes to playing with pistols, but unfortunately we didn't see something that the chef might have prepared. In any case, it's going to be the full buy. Supra having himself a little bit of an early advantage towards ramp. He's going to be trying to take a look-see to see perhaps if he can get an entry or two. We do have 3 players controlling A-ramp, pretty classical. I mean, on Vertigo, A-ramp is the new mid, basically, where you would usually see the contest, excuse me, between the T and the CT side, looking for that control. Exile this time, though, delivers on the promised land as he finds himself an entry and might actually look for more, although this could pay a few more dividends than he intended to, although he's ready for Mertz as he takes him out. All of a sudden, Singularity have no position to work from. Yabi, on the other hand, takes out Supra. That's A-ramp control contested and taken care of. Still Shiro to deal with in castle. Excuse me, tower.
Shiro off of the boost box. He's trying to find some information here towards ramp. The Molotov, though, that knocks him straight out of his position, and he has to go towards the scaffolding to try to find a head here somewhere. 45 seconds on the clock, though. The bomb should be going down soon from the hands of Toby's. Now the pressure is on the CTs to go for the retake. Toby's is in a great position to shut down this 2-man push. He gets the first kill. The second is running into his crosshairs. He gets that too. He has to follow it up with Shiro, but luckily for him, he also has teammates that can back him up, and that is going to exactly be the case. Celebrate takes down Toby's, buffs up his tats with a kill onto Shiro, and that is so much damage onto GAMBIT youngsters because that's an AWP drop from the hands of Shiro. That is $5,000. That's $5,000 that you're never seeing again. That's the Green Goblin gone.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, definitely the Green Goblin. A scary little weapon. You definitely don't want to face off in a duel if you're not ready for it. You know, you need something red and shiny, preferably Spider-Man, to handle that. But it is going to be 5-4 regardless. Singularity, they're keeping a tight leash on GAMBIT youngsters, and they're actually picking up the pace, which I very much like to see. Given what we experienced from them yesterday, given, you know, as I said, they're a bit momentum-based. If they start off weakly, if they start off a bit off-key, there's a tendency for them to perhaps lose confidence in themselves, and when that happens, we all know what the end results usually will be, or usually are. So it's a good thing. It's a good show that they're going to be giving us, regardless of at least the current setup. Oh, the bomb. Wait, hello? Why is Tobis pushing that far with the bomb? That is the danger noodles now. Yeah, that's not just questionable. This is a danger zone right now that they're entering, and luckily they're able to retrieve it without too many further losses as Yabi takes down one more. That definitely was a little bit too shaky.
One of those situations where you go like, okay, yeah, where are the eco kills? Like, come on, guys. I thought you all signed up for this.
Yeah, where's the Eco Cobra coming through? Yeah, the E-Cobra.
Yeah, but Singularity, they're looking quite strong now. I mean, for a second there, they looked very shaky. GAMBIT youngsters seem to be dominating for the first 4 rounds. But this is something that I talked about earlier with Tea Time as well when I was on the cast with him. And that's that, listen, in the current metagame, nobody's 100% sure what Vertigo really is. I mean, is it T-sided? Is it CT-sided? And then when you look at the effects of the economy on it, it can really go either way. So is GAMBIT youngsters going to be looking different on the T side, or are do they have the leg room or the wiggle room to be able to bring it straight back into this half and close it out with an advantage? We're about to find out, and this would be the perfect time to find it out because they're finally on a gun round, fully locked and loaded with the utility. Now, if I'm in the position of GAMBIT youngsters, I'm thinking that Shiro needs to get a little bit aggressive. He needs to be eliminating these threats before they come in and potentially get the advantage, so they have to use as little utility as possible, because that's something we found Singularity in, where once they get out, once they lose a player or two, then they really find themselves in a position where they're not sure of what to do next.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Certainly, they look lost, right? They look a little bit like just as if they have no idea at all as to what they should be doing, even after perhaps sometimes getting an entry, they kind of feel that they just have to keep on aggressing on all positions. And that shot by Shiro, by the way, pretty slick to be made. And Mertz
Another
will be
one.
caught as well. Holy heck, Shiro. That's why I try to paint the picture with him as Picasso, or more Mona Lisa, really, than anything else. He is a beautiful, beautiful player to watch. It's just an enjoyment always. His shots sometimes just out of this world. And I actually want to touch on the
Yeah.
subject that you mentioned of Vertigo and how it is yet to be taken, whether T-sided or CT-sided. And that's something that I think we'll only really get proper statistics for after maybe another half year or a year of actually being the map being played in professional settings. And overall economy, I think we can determine that it's again very similar to in a way. For me, it reminds me a little bit in respect to Overpass, where you can play CT side without too much utility. It's very hard to do anything, but you can try to play it, and definitely it's possible. It's not like Inferno, where you're literally locked out of place. Whilst for the T side, it's, again, this likewise as Overpass, where you can play without utility, but it's going to be harder. Yet for T side, it feels like it's easier if you even if you don't have utility, right?
It's really hard to say, especially because for a lot of the teams that we're looking at right now, I don't think their on Vertigo is as developed as we'd like to see. So,
Oh, I mean
yeah,
that's obviously, yeah. I mean, it's going to
yeah.
take time, right? Still.
So as we look at different tiers of Counter-Strike, obviously the importance of utility starts coming into play at very different levels. And speaking of utility, is that Molotov going to be enough to stop Toby's? Yes, it is. That was very nicely done.
Ouch.
And was that a bit of a team kill there? I think Accelerate might have spammed his own teammate there.
Yes,
And yeah, the
Toby's.
Molotov to put him
Oh,
to sleep.
poor guy. Oh my, this is a bit disastrous. You know what? I was actually looking at that kill feed. I'm like, wait a second. That's a T on T action. That's like,
Yeah,
you know,
what's going on
Cellrate
here?
taking Tobis. And I was like, wait, but that's a Molotov. Wait, how does the Molotov burn Tobis to the ground?
Yeah, but the one thing that I'd like to touch upon now is that I mentioned earlier that for Shiro to get aggressive, that will leave Singularity in a position where they find themselves a little bit lost. So if you rewind 2 rounds ago, Shiro getting very aggressive towards the ramp area and finding 2 picks, you saw that Singularity looked completely lost there. And then Gambit youngsters, they have a surplus of utility. So when you're only dealing with 3 or 4 terrorists, you have a surplus of utility. Obviously, you don't have to use as much, gain the same amount of control. And I think early picks is something that Singularity just does not react to very well. I mean, even there on ramp, as soon as they lost that first player, confusion starts setting in. They're probably screaming at Cellrate over the mic. And I mean, obviously, that's just a bit of a joke, but you never know what's going on in there.
Yeah, it always feels like there's a little bit of chaos, right, in the ranks, and it's hard to
Yeah.
discern whether or not that's true, but it definitely feels like it. And if it feels like it, it has to be at least a tiny bit true too. There has to be a tiny bit of truth to it. But
Yeah, it also draws a contrast between like how their in-game leader. Well, I'm honestly not sure if they have a coach or if it's just the in-game leader working, but it draws a contrast to how good like their preset strats are and how good their mid-round calling is. Because if they find themselves lost in the middle of a round, that might suggest a weakness coming from the mid-round calling, or just not the communication just not being there.
yeah, sometimes perhaps, you know, shutting down the communication, or the communication being shut down by themselves when they're feeling a little bit frustrated, and obviously perhaps tensions running high. The IGL thinking on multiple scenarios at the same time, not always being able to call out everything and, you know, micromanage the whole team. Singularity, though, they did start off with a banger yet again with an entry. Mertz on the angle as well, off towards Shido. He pops off. Oof, Nafani, good shot. He's making it a little bit closer. He's making it a little bit more bearable here for GY. This retake, though, is going to be no easy pickings. As we see, Nafani going to take a fight through tower. He's about to be spotted. Takes the fight, still wins it against Remoy. A surprising outcome. A welcome one for GY, but a surprising one nonetheless. And a flank being set by, as far as I can tell, in this case, Nafani. Inters. Excuse me, that was Exile, not Nafani. Apologies, but still, Inter is back into a 2-on-2 as it is Mertz this time. He was able to pull off a few strings. Whew. They had the angle on him, didn't they? Cheeky one. Okay. Ninja Turtles and all, just jumping up and down, getting themselves those kills. Fair enough. GY, 7 rounds. Singularity. That was a lot harder than it should have been. And even then, they didn't take it.
Gambit youngsters now with the lead. And this is something I was talking about earlier where I thought that, okay, potentially, like off of the gun round, Gambit youngsters can bring it back into the half. And that's exactly what they've done. And just look at the money on Singularity, man. Again, very rare to see the T side struggling with money, but, well, that's how it is.
That's just how the cookie crumbles, right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of a cookie, Singularity right now, feel like that dry, chewed out cookie that, you know, whenever you take a bite, your mouth just becomes literally the Sahara Desert. It's like, oh man, I just can't finish it. And Singularity, you know, they have a few Deagles, they have a few mini Kevlars, but doesn't look like they're going to be able to do much with that. Yabi already out. Celebrate, good day to you, sir. And, well, Mertz gets snagged on the approach towards B. As GY seemingly will be picking up a clean round for the 8th one.
Now we're looking at the last round of the half. Singularity can still make something happen. You have a quite comfortable scoreline. I mean, as you said, the CT side. I mean, this is something that we've talked about at length. Both the CT and T side can be equally powerful on a map like Vertigo, and nobody's really sure which one. But I think Singularity should be feeling pretty comfortable. Obviously, Gambit trying to extend their lead as much as they can. Uh, but I think it matters a little more for Singularity to get this round just because of how unpredictable it can be on the T side and how the rounds can start snowballing once you're on the T side.
Thing is, the problem with snowballing is you can get overconfident. Something we saw today, for example, earlier with Level Up, they had some severe issues with that, having to deal with Rein Necker in the 9-5 tournament. And, you know, snowballing is all nice and well, and it's hard to stop it usually, but it can also be basically a self-destruct sequence for some teams who just let it go to their heads, and they're not really managing it as well as they should have. And we can see right here, Singularity, they're a little bit too wide open on all accounts. They're looking for they're looking for fights on all points on the map, not really having much to show for behind it. Yabi and Tobis out of the perspective. Excuse me. Mertz and the Molotov being extinguished, obviously, it's going to be an issue to try and snuff out Supra. And having one player to deal with in Cement is always going to be an issue, especially when you have a crossfire being set. Intez wins his duel against Mertz, and this should be the end of the line, and it will be the end of the line. Rimoy, ooh, nice little hope at least being risen, but it's not enough. 9-6, first half is gone, and GY take it rather easy, I guess.
Yeah, I think now that Gambit Youngsters is on the T side, the one threat that Singularity have is that one piss around, because we all know that that can be the defining factor. I mean, sure, in the previous updates, you would have the case where it would mean a lot more, but even now, it can be a significant factor in just your momentum and being able to build up the economy straight off the bat. And let's say that Gambit Youngsters is able to win the first pistol round, that already puts them on double digits, and that is dangerous for a team like Singularity, especially when they're punching above their weight.
Well, we are back with the second half, with the second pistol, as Gambit youngsters are now going to be taking on the mantle of aggression. Their T side, usually the better one, as Topaz, though, entries on through middle. Supra has a surprise installment and a DLC in mind, an immediate return. We do have a single smoke on the side of GY, so they're going to have to rely very heavily as to where they want to throw it, where they want to put it. Yabi! Single shot, single kill. You love to see that. Unfortunately, his angle being a little bit too exposed in the end, and it's quickly returned and quickly favorable back in the hands of GY. As we do see, they've already used the smoke, so there goes the chance of using it smartly. Although, Singularity, they are quite exposed across the map, putting themselves out there a little bit. As Mertz is alone on A site, this could be a dangerous, dangerous endeavor for himself if he is going to be caught before the rest of his teammates have a chance to rotate over, or at least start rotating over. This round might be gone before it even begins. 45, well, a little bit less on the clock. As GY is slowly approaching and encroaching on towards the A site.
Gambit youngsters, I think they do have the advantage here. I mean, the only thing against him is the clock if Mertz can deny this bomb plan, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Shiro, in fact, takes down Mertz, who was the only threat there on the bomb side, and a lot of time is going to be wasted on the retake. But luckily for them, the USBs are deadly. A single tap to the head, the difference between life and death. Going in for the retake now, enters playing a pivotal position around the box. Accelerate tries to spam away. Remoy left alone. He gets two, but he's not able to follow it up with the third one. Shiro saves the day. And that's perfect because, I mean, Shiro rhymes with hero, right?
Hey, yeah, actually, I never even thought about it. I'm not a, I'm very bad lyrically, so, it's, for me, me and rhymes are not, we're not exactly best buddies in that case. But Shiro, hero, yeah, I guess, yeah, like, he is the hero, that is true, and it rhymes as well, so most certainly it comes into the context here. But one thing we should mention is Shiro will be the hero once he has the AWP up and is able to take down Mertz. And one thing, again, we can also add on top of that is the fact that Mertz continuously likes to play his angles towards A. Very aggressive, very boisterous towards the A ramp. And, it's going to be an interesting little challenge here presented to both sides, to both players, really, to see how they handle each other. Mertz, on one hand, an excellent opper who relies heavily on not necessarily holding corners and just waiting for an opponent, but a lot of times very technical in his approach. While Shiro, he's more of a, he feels it, he goes for it, and many times you see him fail, but for the majority of his attempts, usually delivers some crazy shots. But in any case, this force buy round not really going to be working for Singularity, though. 10 looking like 11 before long, and quite a kicker here to the second half as GY make it look rather simple to pick up this early of an advantage. In any case, we do have ourselves 2 Zeuses being bought, or double Zeus being bought. I guess I'm not even sure if how's the actual wording on that. Zeuses. I'm not sure if it's right, or is it wrong even. Doesn't matter. 2 Zeuses being bought. I like that. I will stick to that, boys. And certainly a chance here for perhaps Singularity to make a little bit of economical impact against Gambit youngsters. But seems like the Russians are a bit more prepared against what's coming their way. A bit more set up to make sure things do not completely get swiped out of their hands. And above all else, it's vital that they keep those rifles together and make sure that the Mech-10s are always the first on approach. And, well, Exile already proving that, making short work of 3 players, pretty much closing out the round single-handedly almost. 12-6, double the scoreline now. This is where things become a bit more problematic. Singularity, they have a lot to work on. They have a lot to show. Their gun round here is vital, and as Dean would say, it is all or nothing for this gun round. If they lose it, they're going to be facing the music of 14.
And that's exactly what I was talking about when I mentioned that the pistol round can be the difference maker. Gambit youngsters already getting 3 rounds on the board just off of the basis of the pistol round. Especially that Singularity is on the CT side, that pistol round matters a lot more to them than it does for Gambit youngsters, because straight off the bat, they can afford weaponry even if they lose it, but Singularity, you can see how that snowballed, and this could potentially be one of their few chances to get back into the game. Mertz and Toby's on that double op setup, not something that I was expecting, but something that I certainly like seeing on a map like Vertigo because of the kind of control that you can get over on mid and on ramp. So just having the freedom to have the one-shot weapon just circulating around the entire map, that puts the terrorist side in a position where they have very little breathing room to work with. And we've seen teams perform pretty good with the AWP, and let's see if that scales up to 2. Apparently not yet, but Mertz puts that op to use. One of the ops has already gone down, though. Toby's and Cellrate in a 2 versus 4 make that a 1-on-4 as Cellrate left alone, clutching for his life with an AUG. Oh, Gambit youngsters already so close to getting their 13th round on the board. With 35 seconds on the clock, I think the bomb should be going down pretty comfortably, considering the fact that Cellrate would have to do something worthy of madness to be able to deny it.
I mean, you know, I get what you mean with the ops, and I get the reason why Singularity take the ops up, but I disagree with the fact they go for the double glass cannon and that they risk it all just for a double AWP. If anything, you put glass cannon on Mertz. I would trust him with that. Tobas, not as much, and I'm not as familiar with him personally, but I am fairly certain that that nobody here can be better than Mertz on the side of Singularity. And when you're facing off Shido, when you're facing off Gambit youngsters in general, you can be damn sure that maybe you get a shot off, maybe you get a kill for free, but they will let go a few bullets before they fall. And one bullet is enough to destroy your aim, to destroy your crosshair placement, and all of a sudden that glass cannon, well, literally becomes glass cannon and shatters under a single impact. In any case, Singularity, they will go in with Deagles and Kevlars. I like that they approach this a little bit easier, or excuse me, a little bit safer.
They want to stay as far away from the 14 without making things difficult for them financially. Toby's is able to get a 1-for-1 trade, and I mean, what more can you ask for when you're on a Deagle? Sure, you might have those Nico plays where you might get some mad money and some mad damage done with the Deagle, but a single kill is still a single kill, and against an AK, that's wonderful stuff. Now, Jabby, he manages to make that more than just a single kill as he gets another kill for his team. 3 versus 3. Now, the terrorist side, they do have to quicken their pace a little bit, though, because they do have only 50 seconds on the clock. Doesn't matter anymore, though, as Hira and Nafani, they've gotten a kill apiece. Cellrate, again, left alone, and this time with a weaker weapon. That's an MP9, buddy. That does not give you the luxury of having the same scope as the AUG. Not the same damage either, nor the armor penetration. Hell, that's why it's $1,250 and not $3,300.
Oh man. We talked about a Deagle having a scope, right? So, I mean...
Oh man, that's just... Thinking about that, the prospect of somebody going like, all right, can you drop me Deagle? I'm going to snipe mid.
Oh, that would be, then think on this weapon having the accuracy of an M4A1S. Huh? That would be...
Doesn't it already have better accuracy than the M4A1S? I mean, that's what I seem to collect from all my matchmaking plays, because I'm just gonna I'll be on long, somebody's gonna be on 8 knight on Dust 2, and they'll just triple headshot me. That's how the MP9 works.
Oh, welcome to matchmaking. There's a different statistics for matchmaking. The guns operate differently on matchmaking, and not only that, on matchmaking, there's either you meet either simples or you meet either Nikos. So it's
Oh man, mine's me. Somebody got I was so happy today because I was playing against a blatant cheater today, and he got back down.
Classic.
So I was just very happy about that. Just
that hits the feels, right? That's like it's perfect because
Thank you for watching out for me, Gaben.
Yeah, they're like, Lord Gaben was good, sir. You deserve to have some good luck in your game. And he pressed the button that, you know, VAC bans cheaters across the board, or at least those that are actively playing. And bam, they got rid of him. Thank God. Thank you, Valve, for implementing good anti-cheats for once. Or at least trying to do so. 14-6, though, with an entry for Singularity. Mertz, like I said, he's the one that can deliver. Supra is out of the question and out of the equation. And in this case, oh, okay, I didn't even think about that boost, but it works. Tobis doubled, though. Able to shut down the bomb carrier, and this play towards B might succeed unless, yeah, Tobis shuts it down as Intes comes to follow up. He's now all alone, a 1-on-2, and Vimoy, is he aware? He jump spots, he still gets it. And it is going to be the 7th to Singularity. By God, that is
really insane that they're
close.
able to cling on to that off of that lifeline. I mean, you saw what happened just there. Remoy going for the little jump peek, and he still manages to land the headshot with the M4. Just, man, that was risky because had he gotten headshotted there, that would come down to a 1 versus 1, and it would be so demoralizing, so demotivating to lose to a 1 versus 3. And now Gambit Youngsters still not quite making it to map point. And AWP in the hands of Shiro, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how this works because I don't really get to see that much B-side of AWP on Vertigo, but a lot of chaos going on here in the ramp area as Remoy picks up 2, and so does Jabby. Well, not 2, but 1. 2 versus 3 now. The T's have their work cut out for them. Luckily, though, they just have to go for this shooting gallery. They don't have to worry about money or anything like the CT side would have to. And the thing over here is you might think that Singularity is in a good position with 3 players alive, but you also have to keep in mind that they have to keep their players alive. If they lose players over here, they lose a significant amount of advantages that they have right now. Now, Toby's already going down. That makes their lives so much more difficult with the M4 going down. That's $4,400 down the drain.
It's all on cell rate here in this case, and yeah, that rifle loss is pretty severe. Cell rate needs to widen the angle. He's getting hit by the Molotov. Where's the support? Wait, what? Zero? I mean, thankfully, the Molotov burns him in the end. The cell rate gets saved by the bell, and Shiro, I'm fairly certain, yeah, he did not spot Mertz being...
con.
Ooh, is he really going to be going all the way back towards A? I mean, there's a chance he could go back through middle towards B. That's definitely an option. But Mertz, he's going to realize this soon enough. 25 seconds. There's only so much time that really Shiro has in this position. And Mertz, by this moment, he should be starting to think differently and realizing, okay, there's something very off here. Shiro needs to make a way, or needs to make his way towards site. He does so. The Molotov deploys in towards connector. And that should be enough to... Well, given the plant as it does. Mertz, does he expect Shiro to stay on short, though? That's a different kind of question. That's a question that will answer $1 million riddle. As Mertz is about to... Oh, No, he didn't see him as Shiro actually has a glimpse. Oh. Otherwise, my lord... I was fairly certain Mertz might have caught a glimpse of his leg, something like that, crossing through that edge of the border of the smoke, but instead, GAMBIT.Y is saved by the bell. Shiro with a nog, even.
That's so unfortunate for Mertz to not be able to spot that because that's just the volatile nature of smokes. They're so difficult to deal with simply because they're often not what they appear to be. For example, for Shiro, that was just such obvious information, but from Mertz, that was barely anything at all. He wasn't able to spot anything, and that simple difference was able to change the 1 versus 1 and bring it to 15 points, map point for Gambit Youngsters. And on the other hand, Singularity, they don't even have half the points that Gambit Youngsters do. And look at the economy too, just devastated entirely. 3 MP9s that they have to try to work with. Remoy goes to try to push because he's trying to get the advantage in lieu of utility. They know they can't rely on anything else. They have to try to get the early advantage based off of the push, but it doesn't work out. The T side all across the A bomb site now. Singularity just an uphill battle here, and unfortunately this cliff might be too steep for them. Might be just a vertical line at this point.
Yeah, climbing up, freestyle. Oh, they don't prevent... They do prevent the plant, and Cellrate comes in jumping as well. Taking out Intes in the process behind it all. My god, you called it a vertical line. Well, we can call it a wall. They're literally Spider-Man right now. Holy Trice said,
My God,
that
I forgot that they brought their climbing gear, just sticking to the wall and making their way up. Not even little by little. He just made one leap into the smoke with the MP9. Just went wild.
Shit are gonna
And
save.
the great thing is they have the bomb control as well. So somehow Singularity yet another lifeline on their hands. I mean, we saw how close it got with that 1 versus 2. And despite the fact that Gambit youngsters were able to bring it to map point, Singularity, they're clawing, they're kicking, they're screaming. Does Gambit youngsters have an answer to this, though? They have 7 rounds to pick up the phone and give them a solid answer, but is Singularity going to keep ringing?
Thing is, there's going to be a consistent knock on the doors of Singularity, and there's only one time that they need to open up and everything goes to hell. So let's see if Gambit youngsters are able to persuade them. You know, the knock joke here being the fact that Singularity only have to answer once. In any case, 15-8 and 7 in a row is what they have to pick up. It's not going to be easy, but given how they just displayed their prowess with the MP9s, at this point, it would be foolish to not believe they can make the comeback possible. Like I said yesterday, it was what they were able to pull off against SG Pro. They pulled it into OT, only to lose it 4 in a row in OT, but fair enough. Yabi kicks it off with a bit of a preemptive pre-fire into the classic boost. Unfortunately, Shiro has time to respond. Likewise, Inters. Nafani finds the second. Mertz might have been successful, but it doesn't matter. Well, we're about to find out. Cellrate and Tove left in this bit of a dismantled moment.
Yeah, they're going to have to defy the odds here because they are down a man. They have to deal with 3 terrorists, and they're not even close together. These are individual battles that they have to fight for themselves. Toby's, though, I think he might have the drop on the terrorist here. Fani being taken down, so that's a sigh of relief, but how long is this relief going to last? Because Tobias has immediately been eliminated. Cellrate, he's done it once. Can he do it again? The MP9 moments, are they going to happen again? Because he does have the AK-47 this time around, a significantly better weapon, but he's not going to be Spider-Man with that one because he needs to take his time. He needs to be calculated. And oh, this is a deadly setup. He has to deal with the double peek and the 1-tap from Inters, demolishing Singularity. 16-8. Gambit youngsters taking the first map pretty convincingly and showing them who's boss.
Absolutely, and with that in mind, of course, going up to Dust 2 might be another issue that Singularity might not be prepared to take on head-on, but we'll find that out soon enough as we go into a short commercial break and get ready for our second map of this best-of-3 series of the Losers Match. See you soon. And welcome back, everybody, as we are getting ready for our next map. It is going to be Dust 2. It is going to be our second map. And Gambit youngsters, they are going to be, of course, playing their best map effectively in this case. Now, Singularity, a little bit shocking, a little bit disappointing on their performance on Vertigo. But I guess, we can say that it was kind of expected. Gambit youngsters, after all, are better.
Yeah, and I think the their wounds here is the fact that the second map is Gambit's pick. I mean, Singularity were absolutely dominated on their own pick, which was Vertigo. And I think we talked about this a little bit before the game as well. We were a little surprised that Singularity would pick Vertigo because they have a pretty low win percentage on that. But the problem is that they have a pretty low win percentage all across the board because they've been consistently punching above their weight for quite a bit. So I think it's a matter of taking, I obviously don't mean this in a bad way, but like when you're going up against a team like Gambit, even if you're bad at like all maps compared to them, you want to go with the map that you have the most confidence on, even if you're not as good as the opposing team on that. That being said, I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to be able to adapt to the second map because man, Vertigo just did not work out for them.
It really didn't hasn't it? Or didn't it? It was a very, very poor display of quality on the second half for Singularity. They were just lackluster across the board. There were a few rounds where you can definitely say, okay, yeah, I mean, we saw some light, we saw some life, but overall it was just downhill for the most part.
Like the MP9 plays.
Oh, exactly right. Cell rate with the MP9, he pulls it off like no one other. You compare them to a vertical wall, and they just, they one up you and say, "We're Spider-Man, man. We can go for it every day of the week." But speaking of ready for it every day of the week, we are ready to jump into our game, ready to jump into our second map. Ladies and gentlemen, Dust 2, the map choice of Gambit youngsters. And I know you're going to be loving it, Wild Deity, and I know you have your stats ready for it, so let's hear it. What do you expect out of our second one here?
I mean, Gambit has a pretty significantly better win percentage on Dust 2, and that is part of the reason I was going with the rhetoric that they need to go with the map that they're the least bad on. And Dust 2, honestly, looking very shaky for Singularity. So I think Gambit youngsters definitely favored to make this 2-0. I mean, we even saw that with the odds when they were shown up on the screen, And yeah, I think Singularity definitely going to be the same vertical wall story. But obviously we can't count them out yet. This is the start of a map, and the best part about Dust 2 is it's pretty much as puggy as it gets. Like right next to Mirage, you can get away with many individual plays that you're not going to get away with on other maps. So it really comes down to whether or not they can pull out a few individual spectacles, but also just how well Gambit youngsters is able to hold on to their horses and play their own game. But one thing's for certain, I don't think Singularity can just attempt to play regular old Counter-Strike and come out on top because Gambit youngsters, they have them beat on that. So we're going to have to see something unorthodox, maybe a little bit of extra aggression, maybe a bit of unorthodox plays here and there, some weird setups. Yeah, that's about it. I think that should be it from Singularity.
Yeah, in a way, I would love to see, perhaps, as you said, the wild horse perhaps approach, where you would be a bit more or less orthodox and more in the approach of the sense, okay, let's take risks, right? Let's try things that we would maybe otherwise try either in a Prug or a Scream or a Scrim, and we can get away with it potentially. Something that comes to mind on Dust, which is more linear than any other map. It does definitely kind of put it into a bit of a weird space here, but they, let's say a mid push or something like that, in that approach. But we'll be quickly also seeing, I believe, the odds coming out from LootBet, if I'm not completely wrong, on that part. And as you can see on your screens right here, the odds speak for themselves, I believe.
Ooh, very heavily favoring Gambit.
Exactly. Like both of us, I think we can agree to that, that basically Gambit youngsters are the better team. They've shown that on Vertigo. We've said that in the pregame. They are now playing on their best map. The odds are definitely not lying, so go check it out on LootBet if you want to see more details about, you know, how to get those odds in your favor and by, you know, putting in some money for that good stuff. But let's not tarry any longer as the pistol is live. Yeah.
Yeah, Supra has so much work to do here. He is being bombarded by these terrorists. He tries to sneak away, but it's not going to work out for him. Nafani moving straight into the bomb site, spraying away with his USP. Doesn't last for long, though. Eventually, all comes down to a 3 versus 3 favored towards the T side because the bomb is down. It's hit on enters as well, jumping straight into it. Shiro and Exile with solid kills, and Exile follows it up with a kill through the wall. Mertz falling to these deadly old bullets. I mean, the kill confirmed. I think it speaks for itself. The collateral through the skull and the collateral through the wall. Man, oh man. Just nicely done.
Well done. And here come the odds again.
What?
The odds previously were 105 for Gambit and 801 for Singularity. I'm a little bit perplexed, but sure, I guess the odds change. May the odds ever be in your favor and all that good jazz. Like if we're talking about the Hunger Games, that certainly comes into mind. But okay, Singularity, it is going to be a force buy. I'm not surprised they planted, and something we did discuss about this was on Vertigo, where they didn't get the plant, they went for the eco, you know, obviously looking for that safety net. And such, but oh boy, what an entry Tobis with a deagle to make it happen. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of...
Nafani.
Oh, baby. That is beautiful to see, man.
Even ends it with a pistol tap. Man, that's nicely done. And that reminds me of... we saw this play in the previous best of one that we casted where the team would just turtle up into B side, and that's something that I think works very effectively against a mid and B split because the rotation can come in from long, and just because of the nature of Dust 2, you can have that information ready, and it's just very difficult to move into the bomb site, especially if you have the utility to delay it. So that works out for Gambit youngsters, but it doesn't look like the early game will work out in their favor in this round. They've already lost a player. They quickly make it back onto the scoreboard with 2 kills for themselves. Nice little angle from Jabby, but unfortunately he cannot capitalize on it. Mertz, great angle. Deagle shots not quite landing though, and that's where the individual skills really need to shine from Singularity. Otherwise, they can't really beat Gambit youngsters on the bread and butter fundamentals of CSGO. And that's something that I wanted to talk about. A lot of teams make this mistake when they're trying to go up against a team that is better on paper, is they try to play Counter-Strike to the best of their ability. And unfortunately, that's not going to work out if the best of your enemy's ability is better than yours. So what you have to do is you have to go for something a little crazy, something with a little bit more spice. And if Singularity can come up with something like that, then we might actually see a fighting chance against Gambit youngsters. But so far, we haven't really been seeing anything of the sort coming out. Now, we will be looking at another gun round. And, well, the first gun round, the first proper gun round. And, yeah, tons of utility.
I would actually like to expand on the topic you opened up, because I absolutely agree with that. If your best is not enough to counter your opponent, then you have to be unorthodox, you have to be unpredictable. And in that case, it's not potentially always the most logical way of playing CS, but it is a way that can win you games. Shiro, though, if we're talking about winning games, winning rounds, Shiro finds an entry. They see Tobis on short. He's taking a very wild fight. This is danger zone for him. How is he still alive? Luckily, Shiro is there to respond. Unfortunate enough that Singularity have nobody else to make up for that. I mean, imagine if Singularity have 1 or 2 more players on short. If they push up together, there's a good chance they take all 3 down with them. Mertz, though, good patience on the peak as he's able to take out Nafani. A 3-on-3 ensues, and right now, It is all on Supra. Good pop flash as well.
Another one. Oh, this should give him the time that he needs to try to win out these aim duels, but he doesn't peek early enough. Rimoy is ready to put him in his grave. Axile and Shiro trying to make it back into this round. Merce, he might be caught off by Axile because he's looking in the opposite direction. Bomb has gone down, and they do have a flashbang, a molly, and a couple of nades to work with, so they should be going for the retake. Now, Gambit youngsters, can they keep the nil on the Singularity side, or are Singularity going to get their first round on the board? Nade doing some nice damage onto Cellrate, who is trying to hide behind the box. Now Axile taking down Rimoy. Cellrate has to get this 1 versus 2. He gets the first one, trying to shimmy around the corner, and the headshot landed perfectly to take down Exile and his team along with him. First round on the board for Singularity, and that's the kind of individual plays we're talking about.
Absolutely, Cellrate. This is what you want to see out of a player like this, and he already delivered on Vertigo. He seems to be on fire here on Dust 2 as well. Hopefully the rest of his teammates are able to support that, or at least give him space that he needs in order to achieve, well, his greatness, his quality. And Gambit youngsters, perhaps a little bit taken aback by the simplicity that Singularity is playing by, but it is, as you said, they are not going to be complicating their lives more than they need to, although, well, it's a complication when you face off Shiro and you're not ready for it. As he finds 2 frags, both on short and long, it pretty much locks down Singularity into a single space of entry. Rimoy still on the B side, though. Supra alone and isolated. Back to a 3-on-3. Backs to the wall, and this becomes definitely a little bit of a concerning factor. Exile! Did he time that? Yeah, he timed it, surely, with the shot through the doors. Oh my. Okay.
Oh, but timing is not the only thing that they're good at, because just nice, clean little sprays, clean little taps, and even a nasty headshot with an AWP, to say the least, by Shiro. That gets the 4th round for Gambit youngsters. Now, generally, this is a point that I've brought up before, but you don't see the T side on very little money often. But Singularity is in that position right now because they had to buy up completely, and before that, they had invested a little bit in deagles and whatnot as well. So now they're in a position where they have to save so they can get a respectable buy. Now Shiro missing the initial shot, gets immediately obliterated by the deagle. Nafani is there to pick it up with the MP9, but it is not enough. Jabi has gotten a 2nd kill. Enters trying to claw his way back into this round, but Jabi, he has picked up the 4K with the salvaged AWP. Axile now 1 versus 3. Can he work his way out of this? Still a minute and 20 seconds on the clock. The bomb information is not there, and the threat looming around the corner because he constantly has to worry about the range from the AWP, and he's not sure how low Jabi is, so he can't just run out willy-nilly with the spray. Gambit youngsters, very low money across the board, so I think this AK-47 is one of the lifelines that they need to stick onto. Can't afford to be going for a duck hunt.
Oh, I see what you did there. I hope your duck is safe, man.
Yeah, my duck is safe for now, unless XL starts to go for a hunt, pops out of the screen, and just one-taps my duck out of existence.
Poor duck. I don't... Oh, man, I feel for the duck already if Exile would want to hunt him down. Or, yeah, hit her down.
Speaking of Exile and hunting, though, he's not the one doing the hunting, because there are 3 hungry T's after him.
Well,
they're pretty low on HP, though, so
yeah.
the AK-47... I for a second there, I thought there was a little bit more time there. My bad, didn't see the scoreboard, but it's lucky that he was able to scrape away with the AK-47.
Well, one thing I guess we could mention is that Singularity took the better, the better outcome there, since they didn't want to risk getting absolutely hammered to economical oblivion. And as you said, with an AK in hand, Exile certainly could have taken all 3 with him. But this time, Singularity, again, they're going to be doing the same thing for the 3rd time already here, and pushing on towards B. This time could be their ultimate demise, as Nafani is waiting patiently, watching window, finds the 2nd, pushing out at Shiro and Nafani to support it, and all of a sudden Rimoy left alone, as Mertz is the only one that can really deliver. He does get the cross on long, or the push through long, but he is left alone. Pants down, and might
No
as well
bomb
take
either.
it. This is going to be super hard for Mertz. I can tell you that much to even save it.
Yeah, there's a minute and 10 seconds on the clock. But the one thing that he has going for him, is the fact that the CTs have to worry about their economy. They cannot afford to hunt an AWP player because you have to look at the trade-off. If Gambit youngsters lose even a single gun in the attempt to try to take him down, they lose too much money because that damage is not worth it. Is it worth it for the potential of getting an up? A case can be made for that, but not a convincing case enough to sacrifice potentially 2 or 3 players, or even risk not getting the AWP at all, because then the CT side economy would be in shambles. It would be entirely devastated because they're averaging maybe $500. I mean, man, Exile is really looking for the last few coins in his purse right now because he's sitting on zero, not one, not two, but $0.
That's always. I mean, we are all sitting on $0, right? There's no surprise there.
Yeah.
It's kind of classic for all of us here. I mean,
Listen, man,
student life.
I think you're letting real life creep into the game too much.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm just gonna have to cut you off right there.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I wish we would get a surplus every round like this.
Yeah, like
Imagine
$1,400.
every day you wake up, you get $3,200.
Oh, plus 1,400 for losing.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it would hurt a lot more though. Like if every time it just said, oh, you got $2,500 for losing. You're like, what am I losing at? Well, am I a loser? What?
Well, technically, you're losing days of your life, right? So technically,
Yeah,
you know,
enough.
you're just living life. So that's already losing in a way. You're living, so it's losing.
Yeah,
at
and
the same
winners would
time.
be getting less money too.
Exactly. So in a way, it's kind of crazy. But that tag through middle, the Fanny down to 14, definitely a bit of an issue if he's going to be wanting to challenge. Although Exile, look at this. Wait, okay. Cell rate gets deleted off the server. Shido finds one more, not even with an op this time. That speaks volumes. And you spoke about having unorthodox approaches. Well, this is a little bit unorthodox and certainly works like a charm. Exile finds himself a push through long and, well, with a push through long, a free frag on the middle. There goes Mertz, and there goes potentially the round itself.
Yeah, so what I was hoping for from Singularity, I mean, of course, they're not on the CT side yet, but what I was hoping for from Singularity, we've already seen that coming out of Gambit youngsters. I mean, sprinkling in that little secret sauce where you send Exile towards long and even let him do the extended push. And that's something that Singularity is not expecting. I mean, sure, it's worth it to hold the push, but there's a gamble to be made there. It's very likely that they're not going to extend. So Singularity, they feel that peace of mind. They think, okay, they're probably not going to extend. They have the advantage. They're just going to go passive, so the ball is in our court. But apparently, he's just dribbling it all the way across long, comes down mid, kills 2 more. Like, wow, solid stuff, solid individual plays off of Exile, and also just great plays from his team to be allowing him that freedom over towards long, especially with the flashbang that was thrown for him. 6-2 for Gambit youngsters.
They're starting to pull off, well, they're starting to pull a little bit of weight on their side, and the scale is starting to tip in the favor of GY. And the danger here for Singularity is the fact, well, first of all, they're on an eco, okay? So, yeah, I guess, you know, that is already a danger in itself. But the bigger threat, in my mind, is the fact that they're on the T side, and Dust has universally been accepted as not necessarily fully T-sided, but definitely favorable for the Ts, because we all know that, you know, CSGO is more peakers advantage based, and in that sense, the Ts do have already, you know, perhaps a bit of an easier time taking map control, especially upper halls and short and such, and it allows for perhaps more control to be exerted overall. So if you're being shut down this heavily on the side that you need to show up, that you were expected to be showing up, it already kind of raises a few eyebrows in a way. And then when you think about it, Gambit youngsters, their T side, I can attest to that it is so much better than their CT in general, especially on a map like Dust. That Singularity, you know, this is the part where or this is the I guess the segment or the idea that I kind of was playing with a little bit in the pregame and in the first map, where if Singularity start off poorly and if they do not have a good start and they're starting to lose and they've already lost the map, they are going to be going through a few turmoilous moments. And yet again, the gun round starts off with a banger. Shiro blinded, gets the shot and falls away to safety.
Yeah, I mean, Shiro has been pivotal in changing the outcome of the game time and time again. And even now, you can see this come to life as he gets the initial pick with the AWP. I mean, obviously not to take anything away from his teammates, though, because Gambit youngsters have been showing up all across the board. Sure, they didn't have a great time in the game against Cade, but against Singularity, they've been a powerhouse. Now, taking control towards long, Mertz, he needs to get an opening pick towards the A bomb side, but are they going to allow him that luxury? Now there's already 3 players from Gambit youngsters with an additional one in mid that can rotate over at any time required. So this is a tough call for Singularity to make. I mean, think about it. With only 40 seconds on the clock, there's no way in hell that they're going back to B. So this is going to be a bloodbath. They are walking into this trap that they probably have no idea of, and the smoke makes it so much harder. Now, the only way this round can come off is if they can get these picks. Shiro, blinded out of his mind, is able to get the pick, and another one.
He still got the shot! He still got the kill!
Just, wow, 8-2, man. Like, Singularity, they're on 2 rounds. This cannot be good, especially when you're on the T side. The T side is notorious for being strong on Dust 2, and that is supplemented by the current metagame where the money is never an issue for the T side, but somehow Singularity managed to find a hole in their pockets every time, and that might be due to poor buying habits, where they constantly try to force up, where they constantly try to buy a little bit of Eagles here and there, where they think they might be able to pull off something crazy, but it's not happening, and it's costing them rounds.
Costing them a little bit of their own sanity in that regard. Well, Singularity, they are currently still on single digits, and they seem to be stuck there, at least for the moment. Kind of their name ringing true for their position. Kiddo, again, this time from car, he's kind of holding the angle towards short, and Celebrate had a scout, did he not? He still pulls out a Deagle, interestingly enough, and Mertz! Sexy stuff, I like it. Mertz currently being given a second life as Shiro changes to a nade while speaking. I'm not sure if it was a mistake or not, but basically, you know, it happens. 9-2, though. Singularity, another gun round here that could go down the drain quite quickly, quite effectively, and Gambit youngsters, oh, forgive me. My throat is giving me a few issues. I drank a little bit of a cold brew earlier, or cold water, and immediately my throat has something to say about it. So, as I was saying, Gambit youngsters, of course, at 9, and having themselves a pretty damn good economy to work off from, they're putting up a show for us, and they're putting up a show for their fans. That much is clear. Whilst for Singularity, it's more of a, well, I don't want to say a massacre because it's yet to end.
Speaking of shows, though, man, yeah. Shiro has been getting these kills consistently, and the one thing that I find funny is that he constantly seems to be finding headshots with the AWP. I mean, that is insult to injury. But speaking of injury, Shiro falls to an AWP, finally a sigh of relief for the team side, but Morris is forced to go for the no-scope, eventually lands the second one, but is not able to follow it up. 3 versus 2 now. Gambit youngsters finally around where they're down, but not out just yet, because Inters can be a force to be reckoned with.
Although the quietest player on the server, actually, interestingly enough. With only 3 frags to his name, he's definitely had the most quiet of performances. Ouch. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens. Nah, it's okay. Singularity, they've already kind of lost the chance of getting up to double digits. They've already kind of lost the chance to even close it with a potential 8-7, which would be somewhat, I guess you could say, takeable, understandable. But in either case, that last round, even with the Shiro entry and Exile support, they did bounce back nicely, and that's the glimpse of Singularity we have to be seeing here moving forward. And I mean, above all else, they need to do it for themselves. As I said, mentality is key, and if you're not feeling it, there's no amount of love, no amount of success that's going to help you in that case. And Shiro, unusual for him to miss a shot, but, well, second time's the charm. The third time's going to be a bit of a miss. Luckily, Intiz is ready for that. That was a close call. Oh, whoa. Hold on.
Yeah, but Inters is still back for more. I mean, he's still trying to hold on to this bomb site. Crouching at the perfect moment. Singularity is able to save one of their players, but what?
No!
Oh my, Remoy dying at that time. That has got to hurt. In the wrong position too. For a second there, Singularity seemed like they had it in the back. They had such good control of the bomb site. But Jabby, he's going to have to stay true to his name and start throwing out some jabs if he wants to stay alive, but that is not the case.
More like
10
dabs.
to 3. Oh my god. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit, my man.
I know.
But Gambit youngsters, though, man, they're on double digits. Singularity with 3 rounds. There is not much you can do with 3 rounds, especially when you look at how deadly Gambit has been on their pistol rounds. And it really brings it down to a thread where the pistol round can be the game changer. I mean, as soon as you get to 10 rounds, the pistol round becomes deadly. Anything more than that, you get to the point where the pistol round could literally be the decider of the game. Now, Supra already making a case for the 11th round to be put on the board for Gambit youngsters. Singularity yet again finding themselves in an uncomfortable position where they're not really able to make anything happen off of mid rounds, and that's something that we experienced on Vertigo as well. Initially, if they lose a player or two, they're not really able to adjust their mid round calling to be able to punish Gambit youngsters in any regard. Exile, meanwhile, picking another one up in the form of Merge, and now we're seeing a push on Shark. Zero somehow catching the jumping Tobies as well. Accelerate soon to fall, I believe, as he's all the way down on 12 HP. Shiro just doesn't miss a single shot. It's bang, bang all across the board, and even with 6 HP, he manages to land that shot. I mean, what can you even say about that?
You know what you can say? Bang, bang, Shiro shut me down. Bang, bang, shut me down. Da, da. It's like that song comes to mind because honestly, that's what I'm seeing from Shiro. He's in his moment right now. He's in his prime. You know, that's the Shiro we know. 21 frags to his name. He is having a grand old time.
And 6 deaths too. So that's it. People don't pay enough attention to deaths on the CT side, but they matter so much, especially if it's your Opera that hasn't been dying, because he's saving 4750 every time he doesn't die.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to look at it. I'd more put it into perspective of the less deaths a player has, the more it shows to tell how good of a player he actually is. It's not that much about kills when you look at it from the grand perspective. It's about how many deaths he has when you're leading 11-3 in this case. That means with 3 deaths, you died only the 3 times that you lost the round, which means you most likely you either defended the site or you tried the retake. You weren't really covering behind the corner and saving up.
Yeah, that can potentially mean that when you were put in a position where there could be an impact, you denied the enemy team.
Yeah.
Because you just weren't killed straight off the bat. Now, oh, look at Singularity, man. They're forced off of their positions over towards long. And now just 2 players trying to fight in mid. And Gambit youngsters, they're going for that bread and butter, turtle up, hide in the shell, stay inside B, because they can get support from long as soon as they'd like it. Oh, Nafani, he's going to be caught out. Was he lagged out? Oh, I think that was a little bit unfortunate. But Singularity, they're looking to make a solid point for getting back into this. But 4 rounds, man, still, I mean, and even this round isn't guaranteed. The bomb has been planted, and now the CTs are attempting to go for this retake.
Well, they certainly are attempting quite valiantly, quite nicely, but apparently it took them so much effort that Nafani disconnected. And Exile, in a 1-on-3, the last round, of course, not much you can do. There we have it, folks. It is going to be 11-4. A very one-sided result, a very one-sided ending here for the first half, even worse than Vertigo. And I should also mention that 3 pistols have went to Gambit.Y's way already.
It's scary to think that if one of the players wasn't timed out there, this round could have still gone to Gambit youngsters, because he was ready. He was ready for that window position. It's just that he was timed out. So to win only 4 rounds. I mean, one of your rounds coming off of the timeout. I mean, not to take anything away from Singularity, they did have a pretty good push towards mid, and I mean, they didn't even lose that many players, but still, that's not enough rounds on the T side. That's simply just not enough. And I'm saying that on the basis of the dynamics of how the economy will work as soon as the Gambit side will get on the T side. I mean, the pistol round will be the game changer here.
Yes, it will be. Like, you know, I with the new changes to economy, with the new changes to everything, pistols have become more and more of a like a how to say a statue in a museum. That, you know, it's nice to look at, and certainly at times it comes into view and into an important notice, but for the most part it's not as important. But here at 11-4 it still stands to reason to have it at certain value. And Singularity, like, getting the pistol is a no-brainer. They need it. Getting the gun round is a no-brainer. And just then keeping up that pace pretty much up until either a tie or a victory has to be kept up consistently if they ever want to even have a chance of going into a third and final one of Mirage. But 11-4, there's a bit of a push through short. Gambit youngsters, they're about to hit the site with 4 players looking for that defensive setup. Remo and Mertz, the way they're currently set here, actually gives them ample opportunity to potentially shut down this attempt and lock down the bomb as well. Although, cell rate on ramp, this could be a problem. Remoy finds himself only the one. Supra, the replay. Tobiz, Mertz, the replies. It is enough as Mertz hits the headshot on Exile. Pretty much shuts down the attempt itself. And there it is. Should be easy enough for Singularity. Pistol is theirs, and they will find themselves, well, with the starting point. That's, you know, the requirement for victory here.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I think for the CT side, the pistol round matters way more because they cannot afford to lose it. If the T side loses it, doesn't matter. They only have to eco either one round, or they can immediately, if they have the bomb plant, if they got a few kills, they can immediately buy up and have almost the same amount of firepower as the CT side. But if the CT side loses it, they might have to give up 3 rounds because they have to piece together a decent economy before they can make anything happen. Now, Singularity, they do have a lifeline in the form of a pistol round being won. Gambit youngsters, they've chosen to not buy anything at all. Now, Tobies is racking up the money with the MP9 here. Silent Hero. I mean, with blocks, can't really hope for anything, but if anything, Singularity is just looking for the money right now.
Yeah, they are looking for the money, obviously. I mean, it's logical, but again, 11-6, right? It's still far a ways off, and like I said, the gun round is where really the telltale signs will begin, whether or not Singularity is able to return back into this game, or will it be a little bit too late to the party. And let's see what's up. Let's see how this goes. Remoy is going to be halted in his attempt, or will halt the attempt of the long push. The rest of the team of Gambit youngsters, though, they're on B, and they've got themselves the site already. This is a problem. Singularity might not have the position to retake this any further.
Yeah, you see that Gambit youngsters, they only had to eco 1 round, and right away they had better weaponry than the CT side, especially because Singularity was trying to hold on to their money and stick to some of their weaponry. But this puts Singularity in a significantly tough spot. They should have the money to be able to purchase decent amounts of weaponry in the next round, but they may have to forgo the AWP or some utility in... and in either case, this just makes things a little easier for Gambit youngsters. I mean, after this, they'll be 4 rounds away from the big W. They will be on their way to closing it out 2-0, and Singularity, it just comes up again and again. They have to fight this battle that seems to be out of their reach. On Vertigo, it looked like they were clawing back just a little bit, and Dust 2, in the first half, it looked like Singularity might be piecing something together after they got that 4th round. But Gambit youngsters, I mean, it's so difficult to really find any supporting evidence of their being any chances of Singularity bringing back into it, simply because of the fact that they have the terrorist side, which is generally favored. They have the economy advantage, and Singularity, they just need to drop one round or drop one too many guns, and their economy will be entirely shattered.
Obi and Remoy lucky to begin strong here. He gets Shiro on the drop on blue long, Galdo on middle, Tobis! That was a... Wait, was that a collateral? Did I see correctly? Surely that must have been a collateral, it looked like it, and he will find one more as he takes the hat trick already in his hands. It's down to Intez, he's been spotted, and Mertz, well, we'll have to say his goodbyes, but... And it will be backed into a 1-on-4 for him. Sees Tobis. Okay, you know what? I have a distinct feeling this could go very wrong for Singularity. Just because it's Inters, just because, you know, already finding 2 frags this early on could spell disaster. Take an even closer of an approach. They do see him in the end, though, and down to 5 he drops, so chances are that no longer this will be too much of a hassle for Singularity to handle.
Yeah, I think he's about to get pre-fired as well, because there's very few positions that he can be in CT spawn. And there it is, Gabby, putting him to sleep. It's nap time for Inters. But they have plenty of time to come back. They can come back like the Undertaker, man. They have such a significant lead, both in terms of money and in terms of rounds. So, like I said, the difference maker, the game changer, will always be whether or not Gambit youngsters can do enough damage to either take the weapons out of Singularity's hands, or Singularity simply messing up one round, afterwards their economy will no longer be there to support them. Now, Quick Flash is out mid. This could be spelling disaster for Toby, but he turns disaster into an opportunity as he takes down Nafani, and he'll be comfortably backing off. Well, not too comfortable, as he does get pricked a little bit there by the AK-47, 29 points of health.
This is definitely an endeavor right now for Gambit youngsters. Not going to be impossible for them to pull it away with a victory if they're able to get rid of, well, the low HP players, as you mentioned. Toba's already 29, a little bit tagged heavily. Right now, Mertz. Oof, okay. Not even needing to shoot, not even needing to engage, but he does it! Yabi gets caught. Mertz trying to save his teammate, or at least assist him, and obviously Valiant attempting that will be caught in the swing. Although, the angle here, the MP9, missing its mark as Intez saves the life of Shiro. And all of a sudden, we are back to square one.
I think Square One might be putting it too harshly, though, because Remoy is about to get the drop on Axile. They might be able to weasel their way back into this round. Gambit youngsters, though, they definitely have the positional advantage. They have the AWP, they have the AK, and they have the bomb down. Now Shiro gets the first shot off, and that was essential, because if he exposed his position and then he was stuck in CT spawn, that could have been the game changer. But now Celebrate, we've seen him pull off crazy stuff with the MP9. The AK is in hand. He finds the player on Goose. Well, not quite.
Bit of a tag, but...
Man, oh man, yeah. For a second there, it looked like he might have gotten the player on Goose, but I'm just a silly goose.
Well, aren't
Or a
we
silly
all?
duck. Double whammy.
Hey, well, speaking of odds, speaking of chances, we just saw them on screen here by LootBet. Currently, of course, Singularity at 12.3. For that is for the match winner. So who has the chances of winning this match, as opposed to one?
Sorry, just a quick correction. It's for the map winner.
Oh, the map winner. Thank you. Apologies for the map winner. Yes, thank you. So the chances of who wins this map, we can see that the chances are actually favoring, obviously, Gambit youngsters quite heavily, with good reason, of course. Although the round itself here on this eco is not as done or as innocent as it might have seemed, as a little bit of damage is able to be instilled. But beyond that, Gambit youngsters are handling themselves pretty well, and we are in now the final marathon, really, the final sprint, we could say, right?
Yeah, the final leg of the race here, and man, it's just so hard for Singularity to catch a break. And this brings me back to my previous point. I stated previously that Singularity, they just need to drop a round or take significant damage, and that is exactly what happened. Just dropping one round puts them in a position where they're stuck in economic hell for the rest of the map. Even now, they're not able to get much utility. Singularity, though, I like this play from them to try to go for early aggression, because that's a play that you can make instead of having a lot of utility, because simply put, if you can get the early advantage, you just need less utility to be able to hold off the terrorist side. That being said, Gambit youngsters, they have yet to lose a player to the aggression of Singularity, and it doesn't really work out for them. But the good thing is, Mertz is coming around from the shadows from lower tunnel, and just as I say that, I jinx it entirely.
Classic caster jinx.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
you'll get used to it. I'm at this point. It's more of a you say the opposite. Or you say one thing and the opposite happens, and it's, at that
Yeah.
point you just kind of accept it. It's fate. It's caster's fate.
Yeah. At that point, I just accept the fact that I'm a bad analyst. It's not fate.
Hey, no. Well, it's all about maths. It's all about statistics. You know, there's obviously a chance that happens.
Speaking of math, though, I don't think that Singularity have a great chance in this round. The odds are not looking very good for the team that is mostly positioned towards B. They have a player on mid, and look at that. One of the players, the sole defender of the A bomb site, huddling up towards the A side. They seem to have caught wind of this, though. They're slowly making the rotations, but are they going to be quick enough? There's 20 seconds on the clock. There needs to be some hero plays, and this is the time for Nafani. Gets the first one. Axile follows it up, and this could be the first part of typing the GG and GG EZ as they have the bomb down. Well, yeah, they do have the bomb down. And Singularity, man, this is just so tough for them. Should be 15, and Singularity, they're forced to save their weaponry. And Gambit youngsters, you can just see them salivating over their keyboard, the drool, hitting the G again, and potentially hitting the space bar, just getting ready for that sweet easy.
You know what you would add instead of a space? Instead of space, you would add 2. GG too easy, man. That's how it goes.
Hey, man, that's too harsh. I mean, they have 7 rounds on the board, and we still don't know if they're losing. So.
Hey, man. I mean, if they ended 16-7, I think they deserve it. They not deserve it, but they can deservedly write GG too easy. It's like, you know, they did take them up to 8 rounds at least. So for that part, Singularity, you know, they finished Vertigo better than they are to finish Dust, potentially.
Yeah, and that's directly in line with what we said. I mean, Vertigo was still relatively their best map, even if it wasn't as good as Gambit youngsters, and they've so far performed better on Vertigo. Even though I did expect some of the more puggy plays to shine through from Singularity. Fortunately, though, they have less than half the rounds of the Gambit youngster side. Now, Singularity, this is where they start to go for the more aggressive pushes. They've done this before, but they haven't done them to the same degree. But that begs the question, is this too little, too late? And that might exactly be the case, because Singularity, they're huddled up all across mid.
Oh, the molly.
And the cavalry is pushing in towards the A bomb side. There than 20 seconds, but it's not like they need it, because 5 seconds should be enough to get this bomb down even. Oh, Singularity, just 3 players left alive. Should be incredibly difficult for them to claw their way back into this round, but Mertz, off of the top of that boost, he gets Nafani, enters, though he responds with a kill onto Celerate. He is able to find that frag. Now, Remoy and Mertz have such a battle to fight. They have such a battle to contend, and off the boost, he misses the shot. That could have been the game changer there, because the scout rifle, just off of the headshot, they could have made their way back into this round, but now Mertz, it's looking next to impossible. The Z is almost type, and it finally goes through. GG for Gambit youngsters as they pick up the series 2-0.
And there you have it, folks. That will be the elimination series. Gambit youngsters push on through to make it into the decider series themselves, into facing off, of course, well, be it either Forza or Skate. I'm not even sure how that series is going, but in any case, that was one hell of a performance. Gambit youngsters, I think they've shown what they're capable of, obviously, and you know what we expected out of them. As for Singularity, unfortunately, they've been eliminated from 9 to 5. They've now been eliminated from Malta Vibes, and that shall be the end of the line for them for this week, at least for this side of the tournaments. And good luck to them in their future endeavors. Hopefully, we'll see them return